very random video. I did not plan this video to be something important. This is just me going on ranting about the subject that just came to my mind a couple of days ago. So, I have always never been that type of person that was good in sports or fitness. I just haven't been. Every sport that I've tried, literally throughout my whole life, I've always either been bad at it, or because I was bad at it and thought I wasn't any good at it, I decided not to do it anymore. I know that sounds like such a cop-out experience, but I just wanted to go ahead and give a little story about all the sports that I've tried and just how I wasn't really good. Shout out to anybody who is good in a sport. If you are somebody that was good in a sport as a kid or as a teenager, or even if you're of an adult age like I am and you're good at sports and fitness, shout outs to you. Now let's begin. So the first sport that I've ever in my life was ballet. Yes. Are you somebody who considers ballet a sport or an art? Now, I would consider it both because when it comes to sports, you're doing physical fitness, you're doing physical labor and challenges with your body, and that's something that you do with ballet. Also, it's art because of the dance aspect of it. We consider dance as a form of art, so I think it's both sports and art. But comment down below what you think ballet should be categorized as. Anyway, like I said, ballet was the first sport that I ever did. I did it all the way back in 2004, the year 2004, when I was just 4 years old. It was cool. I liked it. It was fun. But because of me being only 4 years old, I really didn't really understand what I was really doing. I was in a ballet class with a bunch of other girls who were the same age as me. My mom signed me up for that ballet class, and I did it for, I think, just about a couple of months actually. I can't even tell you or remember how much I did that sport of ballet. But the thing that I got out of it was this very cute purple book bag that had the words dance on it. Unfortunately, I don't have that backpack today, but I do remember it and it was very cute. I loved it so much. So yeah, that's the first sport on my I'm not good at sports list. I have these shoes that kind of remind me of the ballet slippers that I used to wear. This is what they look like. These are not the ballet slippers that I had. These are just regular kind of fluffy house shoes, but they kind of remind me of those shoes. Sorry about any background noises that you might hear as well. That's just my parents watching TV. They're watching one of their favorite TV shows. So the next sport that I tried to do or tried out for, I guess you could say, was tennis. Now I tried for tennis around the year 2012 to 2013. I believe it was 2013. I was in the 7th grade at the time, and I was trying to impress some kids at my school by doing this sport, because a lot of kids that I was going to school with were doing sports like this. Anyway, my mom was watching, I think, a match with Venus and Serena Williams. I think she was watching a match with Venus and Serena Williams on TV, and that gave me the idea and the impression of wanting to do this sport. So over the summer, I believe, the summertime of when I got out of school for that year, and it was summer vacation, I tried out and tried to do this sport. I got my own personal tennis racket, my own personal tennis shoes, and my own personal tennis clothing. So first up is the tennis shoes that I got. This is what they were. They're New Balances. They are blue, red, and white. This is what they look like. I still have these. I think they're cute. If I really wanted to, I would wear them to this day. I could wear them today, but I don't know. I'm not really a New Balance fan. I'm more of a Nike fan, as much as I'm kind of scared to admit. But this is what they look like. They are pretty cool. They're very sturdy. I like how they are shaped up, and yeah, they do feel in the sense of they can be efficient in terms of using them just for regular shoes and just for shoes for me to walk in. Next up is my tennis racket. Yes, I still have a tennis racket. So this is the tennis racket case that it came in. I believe the company is called Head. I believe that the company is called Head. This is what it looks like from a distance. And it says the power of you on it. Now let's take out the tennis racket. This is the tennis racket. This is the one that I used. It still is a pretty good, pretty nice tennis racket. The company is called Head once again, and it says Raptor OS. So I'm thinking that's the brand, signature brand of this particular line or collection of tennis rackets. You can see the logo put in within the tennis racket itself. It's blue and white. I personally did like the design of it. I like anything that's around the color shades of purple, blue, or indigo. I love that color scheme. Those are my favorite colors, with purple being my favorite color. This is the handle of it. As you can see, I kind of made it a little dirty when I was using it back then, but this is what it looked like. Alrighty. One more scratch of it. So, what happened was, I was trying to get the hang of the game and how to do it, but I just didn't find myself being able to have enough core strength in myself in order to do it. I was getting so tired easily. I couldn't keep up with the other kids. This was a class where it was co-ed, both boys and girls were in the class, and I couldn't really keep up with everyone. Matter of fact, I got hit in the chest with a tennis ball once, and I was just so, I don't know, I didn't think that I was good enough to play the game because everybody else had more energy than I did about playing the game, but I was kind of just lagging and it was just a horrible disaster for me. Shout out to anybody who plays tennis and plays it well. Tennis doesn't have to be all about competition, and that can be said for any sport. Some people just do it for fitness, some people just do it for a hobby, whatever floats your boat when it comes to sports. But that was my whole adventure on tennis. I did meet a couple of cool kids, but they were cool kids, and I hope that they are in good health, good shape, and I'm wishing them the best always. Funny story. One thing that did happen to me and my mom during this time of me playing tennis was that a lot of ants would get into our car. Now, the thing about this court, this gym that we played tennis in, it of course the tennis court was outside, obviously. And because it was outside, a lot of ants were crawling around this specific tennis court. And what happened was I accidentally laid my tennis racket, the case of my tennis racket, onto the ground, just the flat ground. And a lot of ants kind of got into my tennis racket case. I think I left it open, and then when I put my tennis racket case into the car, the specific car that we had at the time, all the ants came out of my tennis racket case and got into our car. My mom had to get all those ants out of the car. We are so lucky that none of those ants didn't bite us. It was just a really weird experience. It was so scary. Well, it wasn't scary, but it was just weird. And that's just one thing that I'll always remember from that experience of me playing tennis. The ants is the one thing that I will be remembering from my experience playing tennis. That and getting hit in the chest with a tennis ball. So, next sport that I tried out for this sport in the years of 2014 and 2015, and that was cheerleading. Yes, I tried to be a cheerleader once. This was when I was in high school. I tried out for my high school basketball's cheerleading squad. It was an interesting experience to say the least. The thing about this experience of sports was I kind of didn't really keep up with the other girls in terms of choreography. I didn't really keep up with the girls in terms of the cheer moves. This was a squad of all girls. There was no guys on this cheer squad. I know there are sometimes cheer squad where there are guys and girls on a cheerleading team, but for this particular cheerleading team at my high school, it was just all girls. There was no boys on the cheerleading team, on the cheerleading squad. And what happened was, I tried out twice. First time I tried out was in 2014 when I was in the 9th grade. Second time I tried out was when I was in the 10th grade in 2015. So I didn't make the team when I was a freshman in high school, and I tried to make the team in a sophomore year of my high school. But as the time went on, I found out that I didn't really have enough, once again, core strength in my body to do what everybody else was doing. Now, in terms of the dance moves, I really couldn't keep up with everybody in terms of keeping up with them in dance and like dancing at the same time that they were dancing. I was always missing steps. We would have to go over it once or twice or 3 times. There were other girls who kind of was like this as well, but I could just not get it. I just couldn't get the hang of it for whatever reason. I just couldn't get the hang of it. My body couldn't. So that was just an experience to say the least. Now, in terms of me trying to do backflips and cartwheels and tumbling, I was not really good at that as well. In the summer of me trying out for my sophomore year of cheerleading in high school, I was given a chance to go to this particular gym in the area that I lived and try to get the hang of it better by just taking extra classes at this specific gym in order to get the hang of tumbling. Now, frankly, before me trying out and doing stuff at this gym, I never was somebody who had been upside down before in terms of like cartwheels and backflips and forward rolls and all that good stuff. So it was kind of scary to me in terms of like going upside down because I had never done it before. Now, frankly, I thought that I could do a bridge position right, but I actually found out that I wasn't doing that correctly either. When I was in elementary school, I would first lay down and get on my hands and my feet rather, and just push myself up in order to do a bridge maneuver position. But I learned that you're not supposed to be doing it that way. well, the people that I was doing the cheerleading for, they didn't want me to do it that way. They wanted me to actually bend all the way down with my hands and do a bridge position that way. So that was kind of weak for me to do. I was kind of weak in that area to do it, to say the least, because I didn't have like enough strength in my body, and I haven't been training myself over the years to do it. The girls who I went to cheerleading with, a lot of them, or some of them rather, have been doing cheerleading ever since they were little kids, like 3 years old, 4 years old. And so their bodies would be, used to it. Their bodies were used to it in the terms of core strength, and they would be able to do it easily. For me, that was not the case. I struggled a lot with trying to get my body used to doing all those different positions and maneuvers and tumbling, and trying to get my position and maneuvers correct in terms of, cheerleading, knowing the dance moves, knowing the kicks and the jump splits and all that good stuff. And I just had to make a decision before the season of cheer got started and the season of basketball got started at my high school, to just drop out of cheerleading and not do it. Once again, I was able to like somewhat be on the team, and I was picked for the team during my sophomore year of high school, but I had to make that rough and tough and hard decision of dropping off of the squad and not do it, because I knew that I would be messing up and I wouldn't be able to get the hang of it good enough in terms of time for games, and kind of embarrassing myself out on the basketball court in front of all those people, in front of the players, in front of the people who were watching in the stands. It was just a hard decision for me to make, but I ultimately made the decision to do it. So what I have is, I would say, a pom pom. This is not the pom pom that I was using at my high school. This is a free pom pom that I got from my college. It's blue and white, and it's my college's colors. So yep, that is the only cheerleading experience that I have done in such a long time. Shout out to anybody who has done cheerleading through their years in school, in college, or does cheerleading professionally. Cheerleading is hard work. It is a sport. Please do not let anybody tell you that it is not a sport. Cheerleading is a sport. It takes a lot of endurance, a lot of perseverance, and sometimes, even in professional cheerleading, the women and the men who are on the squad do not get paid enough for what they do and how they prepare and train for cheerleading. So, shout outs to anyone who has done cheer. Before I mention the last sport that I tried out for, or tried to do rather, I have a couple of honorable mentions. So, the first one being the term of powder puff. I was a part of my high school junior powder puff game in 2017 when I was a junior in high school. So, we actually got t-shirts for this particular game, or sport, or activity rather, and this is what it looks like. This is the cover of it. It just says JFL Junior Football League. This is my mascots, my high school mascots, paw print and a football in the middle. And of course, right here it says the word juniors, because we were juniors in high school. We were against the senior powder puff team. And once again, this was in 2017. So before I begin explaining what happened to me about that, for anybody who doesn't know, powder puff is essentially when in high school girls play against other girls, replicating the sport of American football. So if you're somebody who is not an American like me and you live in another country, I'm sure the term football comes to your mind thinking about the ball that a lot of us Americans call soccer, a soccer ball, the game of soccer, where you're kicking a ball against opposite sides of the field trying to score a goal and win points, and it's groups of men playing against different opposing teams. But of course, if you're an American like me, the term football comes to your mind when you're thinking about the game that is similar to other countries called rugby, where you're holding a ball in your hand, two groups of men against groups of men on two opposite sides of teams, rather, opposing teams, rather, play against each other. You're holding the football, you're trying to get it to opposite sides of but the field rather, and you're trying to win points that way. So when it comes to powder puff is essentially the same as American football, but it's for the girls. It's like flag football, where the girls are, in a sense, playing on the same style of American football. But if some other girl tries to reach out and pulls your flag, then you're out. So, as everybody who is an American knows, American football, only men play that sport. Only men are allowed to play that sport in a sense. So, flag football was created in order to include women in a sense in the game or the concept of the game. And powder puff is essentially for high school girls, if a high school allows it, to play against each other in the sense of flag football and American football. So, now that I explained all of that, let's talk about my powder puff experience. So, anybody who was a junior at the time at my high school who was a girl could participate, volunteer. It didn't matter. If you wanted to volunteer and participate, you could. So, I did, along as a lot of other girls who were in my junior class or in my overall high school class, rather. And so we would have practices every day leading up to the start of that game, or that event rather, because it was just a one-time event. It wasn't anything that continuously came around in terms of like a series or, a bunch of matches until like the national championship. It was nothing like that. It was just one only event. So I found myself once again not having enough core strength to do the event. Like, I would have to say, I would have to give a shout out to all of the girls in my junior class, my overall high school class, who were on that team, because they were really strong. They could hold their own playing this powder puff game. I, however, could not. I was so worried about, my nails, because even though I didn't have long nails like this at the time, my nails were essentially somewhat long because they were my natural nails. Back then, I used to grow out my natural nails long. So my nails would be breaking when I had to tackle somebody or when somebody tackled me. It was just a complete disaster for my nails. So that would happen. Also, I found myself getting tired easily. I didn't have enough speed in my running in order to catch any of the girls. It was just a hard time for me. So when the day came up for us to play the actual game against the senior girls at my high school, let me tell you, and I am so embarrassed about this, I actually sat out that whole time of the game. I would try to like avoid getting picked or for somebody picking me to play out on the field. I literally just stayed in the background and hoped and prayed that I would not get picked to having to go out and play on the field, because I knew I would mess up. It was just horrible. I felt so embarrassed. I said to myself, why did I even volunteer and try to be on the team knowing that I did not play sports well and I do not have enough physical strength and core strength in my body to play sports? It was just horrible. I felt so embarrassed, and when it was time for us to be over, and I believe that we won. I think us, the juniors, won. Actually, no. I think the senior girls won. I think that the senior girls won the game. But when it came time for us to leave and pack up and stuff, I was so relieved. I was so excited because I did not have to embarrass myself at all in front of nobody on that field. A lot of people came out to watch us and see how we were going to do, and I was just so relieved and thankful that I did not embarrass myself. I know that sounds so cringe, but literally that's what happened. If you are somebody who is interested in participating in your high school team's powder puff, I would say go out and do it. I don't know how it is nowadays for high schools. I don't know if they're still doing stuff like powder puff anymore, but if there is still powder puff at your school, if you are a high school student currently watching this and you want to try out and try to volunteer, go ahead and do it. You might have more luck than me doing it. If you're good and you really want to try out for new things, interested, please go ahead and do it. I wish you the best of luck. Next up is fencing. Yes, fencing. The type of sport where people are, doing almost like medieval on guard type of things with a sword. You see it a lot in the Olympics, and I tried out for this too, I think around 2017 still as well. I was still a junior in high school. I didn't actually, put on equipment or an outfit or anything and actually try it out. I didn't even make it to the tryout process. Here's what happened. So I decided to go to the informational meeting that was about it. My high school was looking for people to try out, and I was kind of interested and excited about it. I was just in a sense curious because I thought to myself, ooh, maybe this could be fun. I wonder what this is all about. So I went out there and I went to the classroom rather that was hosting the informational meeting about it and saw what it was about. When I got home, my mom found out about me going to the informational meeting because I told her, and she was like, oh, are you sure you want to do that, considering how I was over the years in terms of sports? And she just really wanted to make me think about my decision in terms of fencing. Do I really, or was I really interested in fencing as much as I thought I was, or was that just me being curious? So I decided to not do fencing. I know it's just a whole lot of me either quitting things or just making ultimate decisions of not doing things. But I decided not to do fencing because my mom, in a sense, was right. I knew how much I struggled with sports or in trying to try out and trying to do sports, and I didn't want to make my parents spend a whole bunch of money once again on me trying to do fencing, and then later down the line they find out, or I find out, that I'm not good at that as well, and then there would have been a whole bunch of money my parents would have spent on me trying to do fencing just for me to quit again. So I made a decision not to do fencing. I did listen to the informational meeting all the way through, but I decided not to do it. Shout out to anybody who is in professional fencing or do fencing in high school. Fencing looks like a very interesting and fun sport, I'm not going to lie, because it's very unique and different. It's not the type of sports that involves, a ball that you have to either throw or catch or pass along to somebody else. Fencing is all about you in terms of you being able to like guard yourself and trying to attack the other person. It's all up to you in order to win points. And so you're really relying on, your strategic techniques of knowing how to guard yourself and block yourself and knowing when to attack the other person with the sword. So shout out to anybody who does fencing. If you're a fencer, comment down below, how is fencing? Is it cool? Is it fun? Are you out of fencing now? If you were given the chance to go back into fencing, would you do it again? I would love to hear it. So next up on the list of honorable mentions is horseback riding, horse racing, anything that involves the equestrian style of sports. Now this is kind of something that stems from an event that happened to me. Now, I wasn't in anything equestrian style related in terms of the actual sport, but an event happened to me that let me know, hey, I don't think that if you were to ever get into anything equestrian related, you should do it. Here's what happened. Let me explain. So, in 2006, when I was 6 years old, at my elementary school, we had a fun fair. We had this fun fair every year where kids could go out with their parents to the school, and there would be a whole bunch of games and rides and just a lot of fun things for the kids. It happened every single year at my elementary school. You had to buy tickets in order to get in. But the thing about my elementary school was that a lot of grass and green space was surrounding my elementary school. So they had enough green space in order to set up the rides and stuff and hook up the rides and stuff in order for this fun fair to even happen. Now, there was a small farm next to my elementary school. And every year when the fun fair would happen, my elementary school would contact the people who had the small farm, and they would ask the people who had the small farm to bring over their horses and allow the kids to ride the horses and the ponies as like a pony ride, horsey ride. Okay, so when I was 6, at my fun fair at my elementary school, I was in the 1st grade, and I decided that I wanted to get on one of the horses, one of the ponies, and ride it as a pony ride. I told my mom about it. She paid the money to the people of the small farm who had the horses, and so it ensued. They put me on the horse, and I was about to ride it. When I got on the horse and I kind of looked down, I saw how high I was on the horse. Oh my gosh, I got so scared. This kind of lets me know, now that I'm looking back in hindsight, that I was even scared of heights even back then. That was actually my first indication of me being scared of heights. I'm still scared of heights to this day. I do not like heights. I do not like high up things. That is the reason why I am somebody who I will never get on a plane, because I do not like high up things. I do not like heights. Anyway, I saw how high I was on the horse. I got so scared. I think I started screaming. I told them to please get me off of the horse because I was so scared. And so my mom's money that she paid for me to get on the horse kind of got wasted. I don't know if my mom got that money back or not. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know if she got it back or they decided to keep it and my mom just lost like $3 that day. But they got me off of the horse. It was so embarrassing. Once again, another embarrassing experience from me. It was just horrible. I said to myself, now looking back, why was I so scared to get on the horse? I didn't even get to ride the horse. The horse was just standing still and I was just on him or her, and we didn't even take off yet. And at the last moment, I got scared and I wanted to get off the horse. It was so embarrassing. Now looking at it, I'm so glad I did not do anything equestrian. And even if I had wanted to do something equestrian as a kid or as a teenager, my parents probably would have never let me do it, because they probably would have reminded me about this event that happened back when I was 6 and say, hey, you were scared to get on a horse. You were scared to ride the horse. Why would we want to let you do anything equestrian? That was my first and last time ever being on a horse. I've never been on a horse since then, and I probably would never get on a horse today. However, I don't know, nowadays, now that I'm at an adult age, I probably would maybe get on a horse and see if I'm still scared of being on a horse, just to see and just to test my fears out. But I don't know. I would have to think about it. Last honorable mention sports event is me knowing that I could not do track and field. Now, when I was in middle school, from the time I got into middle school until the time I left middle school. My specific middle school had this event every Monday where anybody who was part of gym class at that time had to run around our school's track 8 times in order to build cardiovascular endurance. And let me just tell you, nobody liked this day. There were people who did good, but a lot of people kind of didn't do that well. It was kind of a struggle, to say the least. Literally, by the fourth lap, everyone would get tired. Everyone would get tired by the fourth lap. And this was kind of for the people who could run good, or I should say have more speed and agility and more cardiovascular endurance. Now they wouldn't get tired, but everybody else who was kind of like a regular runner, they could not do it. By the fourth lap, everyone would get tired. Kids who did well on this day ran the 8 laps around the track easily. They did it so easily. They were just very, 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 very good runners. But the kids who weren't good runners struggled. It was just a struggle. I was not a runner. I'm still today not a runner. I do not do good with running, losing steam around the fourth lap. But to say the least, most of the time, I was able to complete the 8 laps in the time that we had to run them. We were given the whole gym class period to finish these 8 laps. You just had to get them finished by the time we had to go out, or I would say go back into the school. They did want us to see if we could test ourselves in terms of being able to get finished with the laps at a certain time and not have to use the whole gym period in order to do them, but that was not the case for me. I was somebody who had to use the whole gym period all the time, always. Some people would just walk around the track once they got tired and try their hardest to finish those laps running, because our teachers really wanted us to run. No walking was really allowed, but people would take their breaks anyway. So that is how I knew I could not do track and field, because I could not run at a good pace for anything. It was just very horrible for me. I would get so sweaty and so tired, and I would start to get hungry, and it was just a lot that happened. Finally, we are at the last sport that I officially tried out for, or tried to do, and that is jiu-jitsu. Yes, jiu-jitsu. In the terms of martial arts, karate, kung fu, boxing, fighting, around that area of sports. Shout outs to anyone who is a boxer, a fighter, does martial arts, does mixed martial arts, any of that. Now, when it comes to this sport is kind of personal to me, for the simple fact that my brother always had a hobby of doing this sport. He likes martial arts. He boxed, he fought, he did martial arts throughout his life when he was younger, and even at an adult age when he was younger. So this sport is kind of in the family to a certain instance. He had friends that were fighters and boxers. So yes, this sport is kind of personal to me. So I did this sport around 2018 when I was a senior in high school, about to go to college. And what happened was my mom signed me up for these self-defense classes. Now, I did jiu-jitsu for the self-defense aspect of it. I didn't do it for competition, or I didn't do it for just a hobby. I did it for the self-defense aspect of it. I didn't even volunteer to do this. My mom just signed me up on her own terms of wanting me to know how to defend myself at college, just in case somebody tried to attack me, considering the fact that I am female. So I went to this particular dojo. This was a co-ed dojo. Girls and boys would be in classes together doing martial arts. Boys and girls would be together. And in the class that I was in, men and women and boys and girls were together, training, co-ed. So I would do the training exercises when I would first get there, and then we would learn all of the moves and special maneuvers to do in terms of self-defense. Now, at the time, I did not like doing this sport because I was so focused once again on just, other things and other aspects of my life in terms of, fashion and cosmetics and all that stuff. And when I had joined the class, I had to really not have anything on my hands because that would be a disadvantage of me to try to protect myself and not being able to try to protect myself and having stuff like this, nails like these in the way. So I had to lose and cut off my nails. Even though I didn't cut them all the way down, I had to keep them at a certain length that it would be efficient for me to do the sport. So that happened. Also, when it came to learning the maneuvers and moves, I kind of didn't get that as well. It was kind of similar to how my experience in cheerleading was, where I couldn't get the moves down packed. Everybody else seemed to have been getting the moves easily, but I just couldn't pick it up. So people would have to go over the moves with me in order for me to learn them. And even though I would do good at the dojo knowing how to do them, I would practice, I believe, every Saturday during that time. Every Saturday around 12 o'clock noon, 11 o'clock in the morning, I would go to the dojo and practice the moves with the people. They were preparing me once again for just self-defense and knowing how to protect myself while I was walking on a college campus. They were very nice people. I had such a good time with them in terms of, talking to them and stuff like that. They were very super nice to me. They were very patient with me. A lot of people were thinking, oh, were you doing like boxing stuff? Were you like on that Rocky type level, Ashita no Joe level, Hajime no Ippo type stuff? No, that was not me at all. I was literally the type of person where I had to like grab people by their legs, their hands, their arms, their limbs, and learn how to like do maneuvers of like turning them over or like trying to cut off their breathing. Just knowing what to do in terms of if somebody attacks you or attacks me rather during that time, and what I would know how to do in order to like stop them right in their tracks, if I could like say it in a more better term. But I kind of have regrets about this sport. Now, thinking back on it, at the time, like I kind of said, I didn't want to be doing this sport because it took away from me, having my interest elsewhere in terms of like fashion and clothes and blah 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 and stuff like that, and cosmetics and stuff like that. But looking back at it now, I kind of wish I could have kept on doing it. I kind of wish that I had pushed myself to, have more perseverance and determination and ambition to keep on the sport. Because nowadays, I feel like if I had kept on, I would have been as good as my older brother in terms of knowing how to like fight and box and train. And my brother would always encourage me to like do martial arts and fitness and stuff like that, and to like get the hang of it, because he thought that I would be a good martial artist or like a good boxer or a good fighter. But I don't know. Nowadays, I kind of, like I said, I kind of have regrets. I wish I could have kept on doing it. But, interests change, people change. I could go back and do it if I wanted to. I never really have been that sports type of person. My passion mainly is in like movies and TV and music. I'm more of like a creative arts type person. I've never been like a sports physical person. So that probably wouldn't be the case for me now to try to go back and do any sports. I actually have a picture of me going to one of my classes at the dojo. I'll put it probably somewhere in the screen somewhere, hopefully. I'm somebody who kept my gi. I still do have my gi that I used at the self-defense classes, trained for jiu-jitsu. I'll probably insert a clip of that well of me showing my gi and what it looked like. So this is my gi, the one that I used. Haven't used it in a while, and this is just what it looks like. Considering everything that I said so far about me trying sports, do you think that I'm good at sports or bad at sports? I would probably lean towards me being bad at sports too. Comment down below. Are you somebody who still plays sports that you played back when you were a kid or a teenager? Do you even like sports? Do you not like sports? What is your favorite sport? Do you play a sport now today that you didn't play when you were a kid or a teenager? I would love to hear all about your experience when it comes to sports. Sorry if the video was all over the place in terms of me rambling on about things. Sometimes I can find myself being very, very awkward, even though I've done this video stuff multiple times. I don't know, sometimes I get very awkward when it comes to me talking, and it can just be a whole lot of me just rambling on and on. But without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please like and comment anything that you'd like to say about the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope God is with you, and I hope that peace and blessings remain in your life. If you are a sports player, keep playing that sport. Keep doing well in that sport. If you're not doing well, but you know you have a passion for it, keep trying and persevering until you get it, because I know you will get it. Please do not do anything just because you're trying to impress somebody. You should be doing something because you're interested in it and you really genuinely want to do it, especially when it comes to things like sports. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the video. May peace and blessings and good thoughts and positivity remain in your life. One last thing, comment down below if you learned sports or had an experience with sports through the Nintendo System Wii with Wii Sports Resort or Wii Sports the video games. I would love to hear that as well. I'm somebody who owned both games and have a Wii, so that's another reason of what got me kind of interested or tried to put an interest in my brain, however, about sports and doing them in real life, real time. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say, just a bonus. I hope God is with you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that peace and blessings and positivity remain in